let's start with tonalisation. Can you check your phones are on do not disturb or off or whatever, please? Thank you. Do you want to come this way a bit?
I have to.
Yes, come this way a bit, please. Oh, just yeah, that's perfect. Thanks. So major then minor on the repeat, the usual stuff. Think about really even tone from even speed of bow, good weight, and your contact point. So if you can,
I know some areas in some pieces, but it's just some areas.
Yeah.
So it's just like, but I definitely don't know the exam piece. And the one before, I kind of know up to humorous, but that's still like, yeah.
Okay, so get going on the exam piece this week.
Yeah.
And then fill in the gaps. Yeah, if you can do like 1 to 2 pieces a week, then you'll be done by the Easter holidays. And that would be a good place to start the summertime with knowing it will be a good place to start the year, but I understand the start of your year was not a normal one. Okay, how about you, Dan? Have you got book 3 off by heart?
Not quite. I'd say I still need to work on the bonus and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, what are the best ways to approach memorising things that you can't hear on your recording? What would be a good way to do that?
What do you mean that you can't hear on your recording?
So bowings, you can't hear whether it's separate bows or ups. So what would you do?
Circle all the difficult bowings.
Yeah, so look at the music while you're playing. Good, another thing?
Listen and watch. Watch a video or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Listen and watch, like watch a video. Yes, and also? Yeah, that's a good way to check once you think you know it. But before you think you know it, it's very similar to kids. Yeah, or just play with the video. Yeah, exactly. So your main things, and then in terms of using the music to memorise, look away as your best option. So you play a section, however much that is, like depends on how far through the memorising process you are. But for example, if you think you know most of it, you play the first half of the piece looking at the music, then you play it looking away, and then you play it. Kit, would you mind doing the door, please? And then you play it with the music, and then you play it twice looking away. With the music, 3 times looking away. With the music, 4 times looking away. And if you're not sure, that's the point at which you would video yourself to check that you're getting it right. Because obviously, if you do repetitions of the incorrect things, then they become nicely embedded, which is very annoying. Yeah, so this is exactly what I talk to the kids about, using look away. And mostly that's with boxes for them, because most of the time they get it from listening. Hello. Is the door closed behind you, my love?
Yes, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Unless you break it on the latch.
I don't think it was on the ladder.
Then it's the shut.
Hi, welcome. We're all having various crises, so here is the self-help Suzuki sport group. Where we try and forget our troubles by thinking about Martini with what? shiver of like, am I going to screw it up if I'm asked to do it at a workshop and there are like 100 faces looking at me and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do that. So let's just have a look at the music before we attempt to play it through. How are we going to identify the structure first of all? If you're saying to a child, can you tell me what the structure of the piece is? And they're like, huh? How would you remind them what that actually means, Kit?
Colours.
Excellent. They don't have any colours? Cake. Yeah, I'm looking for entire sentences that would explain to a child what structure is. Devon, you have a go. We've had colours and cake. What's your C answer? No, not C. Like the same kind of answer as if you were speaking to someone who's not a musician. How would you explain to them what structure is?
So, in a similar way to in a song, there's a chorus and melody.
Verse. Yeah.
There's various melodies in the song, some of which will be the same, and you're just sort of naming the structure.
Exactly. But fantastic answer. So when you look at Martini Gavot, if you were looking at it with a student who was just trying to get their heads around structure, I mean, I think most of them will have a better understanding than this by this point, but you know, you never know who you're going to get. Also, you might get someone who's learned from someone else who never uses the S word. So you would be using the colours, like Kit said, to show which bits are the same. And in this piece, we have that rondo structure, which means that you get that sort of chorus again and again and again, and different bits in between. Yeah? So it's like, whatever food analogy you want to use, like a quadruple squillion Big Mac with the, you know, the different fillings and the bread in between, or like a layer cake where you might do vanilla, then chocolate, vanilla, then strawberry, vanilla, then, you know, like, or just talking about it, just kind of building up those bits. So the thing that they're going to have trouble with remembering is all of the fillings, the equivalent of the verses, not the chorus. The chorus is easy, and it's super nice to do this piece. If you've got a book 2 to 3 group, well, both of you, I guess, is a really nice piece to do because the book 2s can learn how to play the chorus like in about 5 minutes, and then you just make them stop and wait and listen to the fillings. So let's play it. If you are not sure about your memory, you can use the music.
I use those a week.
But while you're playing, great, while you're playing, can you think about how you would help yourself and your students to memorise the structure of this, well, not the structure, we know the structure, to memorise the piece. Yeah? Okay. You alright? You haven't tuned? Come in, come in. In fact, can someone else give Joe the A and I will sort out the back of the track, 'cause it's nice to play with it. I think your A could still come up a tad more. Okay, so a little note on tuning. You want to give the A, and the chord puts the A in context, so it's easier to hear when you've got the A in tune, but then leave the violins to do it themselves because they'll then be tuning the A to the D to the A, and the G to the D, and the E to the A. And that's a conversation that you might need to have with accompanists as well. I'm very fussy about my D minor chord, so every accompanist I ever work with is like, yes, I know what to do, but you know, sometimes like, partly I'm fussy about it because sometimes you get people who are like, that's alright. I can't connect to, oh come on. He'll come and do this. And it's just because they're bored, and it's like, that's really disconcerting for like a book 4 student who's just learned to tune independently. that is going to screw them up.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, no, thank you. Just have a D minor triad. Thanks very
Don't have
much.
to resolve anything, you don't have to develop anything. It's
Exactly,
just-
exactly. Just do. That's why I'm paying you lots of money to come and sit at the piano playing. Because you'll be bored.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. So I moderate my vocabulary then.
I don't know why I can't connect to the speakers. Oh. Who will play? Unaccompanied. Have we got enough chairs for everyone? Yes. We'll just
Yeah. Yeah.
hiding behind you. Regularly putting colours into the music for your students, I would highly recommend you do for this one, because your visual learners will find that a really helpful way to remember what happens where. And as you can see, if you look at my copy, I'm I'm using the double lines to show the endings, so light blue and then dark blue, but it doesn't matter, you can use, wiggly line and straight line or anything just to show that you've got those. And then each time. For me, I just literally have to know in my intellectual brain that the first verse goes D, C, B flat, because I just can't, musically it doesn't make any sense to me to go straight to that. So I just have to remember as I approach the end of the second line that that's what I'm doing in a really rote way. Yeah, Monday you might feel like you get the Monday blues, you put a B flat in there because it's a bit sad to be at Monday, I don't know. And then there is a pattern. If you look at the verses on the first page, who can spot the pattern that might be helpful for some students? Just within the verses themselves. Only on the first page. Have you got your copy? No, we're just talking about notes at the moment. Good idea.
You're talking about the bit that comes back again?
No, that would be the chorus if we're using that terminology, and the verses. Bits in between.
On the first page? The first one is the first three notes backwards. Da, 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 da,
Oh.
da, da. Ish.
That's very nice. Ish, apart from the B flat. Do you want me to tell you, or is anyone? I'll just get up on my teeth. That you've got the D's. You both if you're going to use the days of the week, the Monday and the Wednesday start on D. So you've got a sort of sandwich there. And then the Tuesday and the Thursday are the same, but you have to remember the first time you go down the scale, and same, down the scale, and the second one goes up before you come down. And then in the second part of Thursday, you've got the slur and then separates rather than 4 notes in a bow. And I don't know why, one of my students I think said many years ago, it's like when you get a Snickers bar and at the beginning you've got all of it, which is the 4 notes in the bow, and then by the time you've eaten half of it there's only half left, so you only get 2 notes in the bow. Which is very sweet, I think.
My kind of kid.
Yeah. And then Friday is the one that's easy to forget because you feel like you've done everything by the time you get to the end of Thursday. So don't forget Friday, and you want, I would recommend that you have, that's the bit that they will need to practice in boxes, so we're going to talk about that. But it's very, I've seen lots of children, and maybe some teachers, get to the end of bar 71, well, halfway through bar 69, 77, 72, all pleased with themselves, and then you're like, postscript.
Yep.
So,
It's always got the low one like Monday.
yeah, so they kind of bookend the week. So I think these sort of patterns that you can find will go completely over lots of kids' heads, but if you find a child with a brain like mine, I find these patterns really helpful. Then it's just like something clicks and you're like, oh yeah, easy. So it's just about, having your toolkit have so many things in it that you can find exactly what any child needs, rather than you use the colours, which is great for visual learners, but that's not going to help someone who is, more of a pattern spotter. And I'll just say again, this is the point in the repertoire particularly this is the biggest, like one of the biggest challenges for it. I think along with not so much Boccherini but more Beethoven, Minuet and Trio, that we are starting to, for the vast majority of students, have to address memory in a more intellectual way as well as just a finger, like muscle memory and having listened memory. And you'll hear lots of very senior Suzuki teachers say, if there's a problem with memory, they just need to listen more. And I think that's really unhelpful because there are kids who genuinely, like, okay, sure, if they actually listened for like 4 hours a day, maybe they wouldn't have any trouble with their memory, but it's unrealistic. And to say to a parent who's practicing most days of the week and listening to the recording most days of the week, well, you just need to listen more, like, no, this is not a helpful solution for them, right? A helpful solution for them is like, this is how you need to think about it. This is how you need to draw it on a piece of paper and stick it on the side. And then once you've memorised what's on the piece of paper, like your, you know, the days of the week or the types of food or whatever kind of like little trick they're going to use. Like yesterday I was teaching Birdie Mignon and we were talking about the puppies and the kittens in kitten and puppy, and so then if you've got that, then you just need to draw, which I did spectacularly badly, a puppy and then a kitten and then a puppy and then a puppy by itself and then a kitten by and a puppy, and then you know as you play the piece you know exactly what you're doing. Same with the curtsies and the bows. Yeah, everyone with me? Yeah, are you with me? Follow me? So if you have a look at Mignon in book 2,
Yeah.
you'll remember probably what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah. I do remember,
because we've got that weird thing where the chorus has 2 endings, like
Yeah.
nearly all of them do, but in the middle you get just to jump to the second ending.
Mhm.
So if you call the first ending a kitten and the second ending a puppy, then you just draw on the board kitten, puppy, puppy, kitten, puppy, and then they remember. They don't have to think about, you know, notes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the memory of that pattern is super easy. So it's just like about attaching it to something that is going to catch their imagination and hold their attention enough for it to be helpful. Okay, so yes, I think this is from you actually, Joe. Wednesday. Often people talk about Wednesday as the hump day because it's the middle of the week. The weekend is a long, distant memory, and the next weekend is feeling a million miles away. So a hump day, so the day of the week in this piece has the hump in it, i.e. So it doesn't follow the same pattern as all the other choruses.
So could you remind me what the Thursday ending was?
Sorry, so the Thursday is bar 56, halfway through.
And what were you using to remember that?
Well, you might want to talk about the chocolate bar for the bowing, but the Tuesday goes down the scale. Thursday goes up and then down. Step up and then skip down.
And Wednesday goes up the scale as well?
Wednesday's not the same pattern, so it doesn't really help to think about the scale.
Okay.
But Wednesday has the hump in it, so it's the special chorus.
Okay.
After that.
Kind of just meanders up and down and up, doesn't it? Kind of just does this, melodically speaking. Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's all those hump shapes. I mean, like most music. Yeah. Excellent. So the memory is a big thing in this. In terms of tick boxes, we've got tone and intonation, of course, posture. And I say again, you don't need to put them all in every book of your students. You need to pick which ones they need to work on. Or think about, you know, if they've recently fixed their posture, you might be thinking, I don't need to write posture as a tick box, but they're going to feel really great if you say, right, let's tick posture. Oh my goodness, your posture is already perfect. I'm going to tick it right now. That's going to make them feel really good. So don't just only put the ones they've got to work on. Be aware that they get a real like sense of affirmation from being recognised for the things that they've already fixed. The more less bowing, some people call it the dia, which is very helpful phonetically. So like the second bow and all of those more or less crotchet pairs.
Second bow.
Dum dum dia, dia. So we don't want that. Yeah, and all of those ones like that.
Do you come off the string for the dum?
In review,
Yeah.
yeah, not to start off with.
So,
Some of them will, and that's great.
so if you're kind of halfway through book 3, you might go back and play.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Would you say it's a bit like the variations for long ago? Same sort of approach?
In terms of what? Lifting it.
Uppers, yeah.
I would say that they would probably learn how to lift this first, then long, long ago variation, because by the time you're lifting long, long ago variation, they're probably firmly into the middle of book 4, because you're getting ready for country dance. Are you alright, darling?
Yeah.
So entirely unconvincing. Just take a moment if you need to, obviously.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be the first, that would be what you were doing before. Yeah, good. So, dynamics. Now, I have to say, I will put my hand on my heart and say, if you gave me a blank copy of this piece, I could not fill in all the dynamics. I probably could for most of the pieces, but this, to go piano and then mezzo forte from bar 48 and then 52 or whatever, mezzo forte piano the first time, piano mezzo forte, it seems so random, and also it's editorial, so I just can't take it that seriously. Sorry.
I did something in the group where we all put music on stands and we got near the music when it was loud.
Oh,
and far away
nice.
when it was quiet, and it was good to see how difficult it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To remember or just to do?
We did it just to do.
Yeah.
It was kind of.
Because I think that's a great way to get them to think about dynamics.
Yeah.
And if you were really working on this piece for a high level recital or something like that, then you could keep going until they can just do the walking forwards and walking back without the music.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, what I mean is I don't think that the cost benefit return doesn't come out on top of us spending weeks learning exactly where it's mezzo forte and where it's piano. But obviously the echoes in Tuesday and Thursday we definitely want to do, and in Wednesday actually. And I think it's nice to start Friday very quietly, always loud quiet, that's not going to be what you always get, but that you can invert it and it makes it interesting. And when you when you couple that with the different key of that section, that's also really nice. It's the choruses that I am not really bothered about. Tick boxes, we've done. Memory and dance style are the other two I haven't told you, I think. And I would just talk, if you've got the kind of student who is probably a visual learner or very meticulous or a very meticulous parent, just explain to them that the staccato markings in the first full bar, these, you can kind of interpret as a brush stroke, because I've heard some students play and they're really trying to, it's a bit like what happens in Gossec. And it's just so horrible, and it's really not what you would play. And a brushstroke, it basically doesn't need anything there. But I think the reason that the editors did it is because what they don't want is that very kind of romanticised deep legato. So I would just explain that that's more of a brush stroke, just don't worry about it, basically do it how it comes out of your violin, and most of the time that will be fine. Again, we've got some very enthusiastic editors in terms of accents. I don't want to hear slapping, like going over speed humps on a bicycle. So I just, point out that that's just the more important notes of the bar. So this is a nice opportunity to talk about in a 4/4 bar what's going to be coming out more naturally. They don't need to write it in the music. And we have the gavotte structure, which we talked about the structure of the whole piece, but a gavotte is always going to be in, well, most of the time, there are some weird anomalies, but most of the time it's going to be in either 2 or 4, mostly 2, and it's going to start on the second beat of the bar. So you always have that yum bum ba dum, not yum bum ba dum ba da ba ba bum ba 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 ba. It's most easy to get wrong in lully gavotte. It's really easy to think yum bum ba da da dum dum dee 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 dee, and off we go. But dum dum dee 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 dee. That's the thing that we're really trying to get in all of those gavottes. Corset gavotte is one of the weird anomalies because it just starts on the first beat of the bar, doesn't it?
I think of what you start off
Isn't there another one?
going up on your toes and down and off. So it's like well,
Like a
it's
spaceship.
It's very, very coffee. It's
Right.
very, yeah. So it's a pair
Yeah,
step
very like light
Yeah,
and frothy.
rather than heavy.
Yeah. Not a Cossack dance. Good. And then the tick boxes, the repetition boxes I would always put in are, let's just talk about one thing to do with gavotte. So because we start on the upbeat, even though it's a whole half a bar, that means when you're counting your bar numbers, the D is bar 1. Sometimes this is confusingly written in the Suzuki books, especially if you think about like minuets. Just flick over a page once. Oh no, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Where am I thinking of? Oh yeah, well, if you go on to gavotte in G minor, here we have another gavotte starting on the second beat of 2/2.
And another D.
And another D. So just teach your students that bar 1 is the first full bar, even if it's a hefty upbeat of half a bar.
And it catches it.
So repetition boxes halfway through, well, Tuesday basically, halfway through 24. Have you got the days of the week in, Kit and Devon? Do you want to put them in if you haven't?
I'm just going with colours.
Could you please write the days of the week in?
Okay.
So Monday is the second colour that you have, halfway through bar 8. Tuesday's halfway through 24. Wednesday's halfway through 40. Thursday 56. Friday 72. And you don't get a weekend.
It starts again.
So, repetition boxes. Tuesday, the first half. Obviously, you need to teach carefully the D sharp. That one will probably be fine because they've done loads of yellow with a hot pink 3 finger pattern, but that's really tricky for them. Have we done? I don't think we've done low 1 with an extended 2 yet. Descending. We have it in, but over the string and descending. It's not a big first or anything, but there's not very much practice that's already happened on that. And then Friday I put in 2 boxes, so 72 to 76 and then 76 to 80. And again, if you talk about the finger patterns, they will be much better at understanding where to put their fingers. So let's just play Friday, everyone. Do you want me to put up one of the radiators on, Kit?
No, that's okay.
Feeling chilly. Okay, so as we play it, we'll just play it through Friday, but think about what finger patterns you're in, and then we'll go through it and actually work it out. So. Well done. So, first finger pattern. How can we help them with that? Does it fit with one colour? No. So then what do we have to know? If we've got different colours on different strings, what's the most useful thing for them to know? This is more a level 3 question, really.
When it's changing?
Yeah, which finger moves, exactly. So the 1 changes, and then they have to know that once they get to the D string, we are in yellow with a hopping 3. Yeah, you don't have a 2 to worry about, but exactly. Good, so if they think low 1, move it back, that's a little bit of blue. Yellow. Good, and then, can we use the same pattern for that? Second one, let's just play just that, my turn, your turn. Ready, and... Can we use the same pattern?
We're not doing the yellow finger pattern anymore. So
Well, you tell me, what's the yellow finger pattern? If you can't remember, just find it
I
in
can't
your book.
remember.
That's fine. Have you got it?
all the finger patterns.
Yeah, that page with the coloured spots on it.
I've got it somewhere, but I think it's in my folder, but it might take a while to find.
Okay, it would be a good thing to keep either at the front or the back so that you can refer to it often.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Laminated.
Wow. We should put it up in here because it's up in Greek room 2, but not in here. I don't really know why.
It's more on the other side.
Yeah, but that's alright. That's all we need for now. So, are we in yellow with a hot pink 3?
No, we're in blue.
Good. What about on the D string?
Also in blue.
Nope.
For the second one.
1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, you can see that. So what we're always wanting to talk about with these colours is that where are the best friends? Where's the semitone? So 1 and 2 are best friends in blue, and it's moved to 2 and 3. So for us as trained musicians, it's very easy to think about keys, and we think, oh, it's the same because it's part of G major. But that's not how they're thinking about it, and you're thinking about finger placement. So we want to think, yeah, blue on the A string, red on the D string, and that will correspond with the key of G. Good. Kit, what about that? Do we need to use 2 colours or 1 colour? Let's play that. My turn, your turn. Ready, and... One colour or 2 colours, Kit? Another way to think about that question is, do you need to move any of the fingers off the shape that they're in? You alright?
Just hungry.
Yeah,
I
that's
start
always
sorting
one.
this out.
Good, yes, you have to move the 1. Excellent. So you could say, what's useful for that in terms of colours?
Red. No. Blue.
Blue on which string?
A.
Excellent. And then it's not really useful to talk about colour for the E strings, it's just the 1. So you just would use low 1 or F natural and then go into blue. Yeah? And finally, let's play. Ready, and I just remind you, when you're looking at this, you're left forward so that if you have, for example, we haven't used the 4 there. So if you're looking for what colour you can use, you use the most common. So that could be yellow with a hot pink 3 or green, but we would say it's yellow because they're more familiar with it, because the further to the left they're more familiar with. Okay, so let's play those 2 lines, well, that section, Friday, one more time, and I want you to call out what you're doing, what you would remember to tell the students, what you're about to write in your book as you play.
Low one
Low
start.
Yes, excellent. Low one, ready, and blue, yellow with a hot pink 3, blue, red, low one, blue, yellow with a hot pink 3. Well done. Okay, now write that down, please. I'm just going to go and get some water. Okay, so if you're not sure how you would write that in, you can come and take a picture of mine. You would not write this all into the student's copy because it's too like wordy and messy, but you would just go over it bit by bit. And they will be in boxes, so then they know what they're doing. Using a little video for something like this would be really helpful so that they can just literally video your left hand, and then they can see where you're stretching, where you're pulling back, what you're doing, which fingers are best friends, etc. Okay. I will admit to giving students credits for this piece when they don't have the days of the week perfectly memorised. If the rest of it is good and they can play it all well, they just need a pointer for the beginning of each bit, because otherwise you can spend 3 months on this piece, and frankly I think there are more important things to focus on. Such as previewing the shifting in the minor section of Bach Minuet. So please just write somewhere on these 2 pages, preview shifting for Bach Minuet. It also says at the bottom of page 11, practice this piece in 3rd position as well, using the fingering indicated onto the stop. I think that's really horrible. I really hate doing 1, 4 for the dun dun 1, 4 da 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 da. It's like, so you can always make the argument that something that feels uncomfortable should be practiced to make it feel more comfortable, but I just think I'd so much rather they played all of their book 2 pieces in 3rd position basically than this. I've literally never done it in 3rd position. It sounds so bad. I don't want to listen to it. Okay, any questions about the lovely Martini Gavotte? Marvellous. Right, we're going to try and 45 minutes to do one piece. Well, we didn't start.
What's the big piece?
Minuet. Do the string crossing exercise first, which is at the bottom of page 13. You've probably done something like this when you did book 1 Minuet 3. And the first page is exactly the same as the book 1 version, except for the... Who can give me all the words?
Truth.
Ornaments.
No, yes, ornaments. Or mordants and inverted mordants. Is there actually a non-inverted mordant? Yes, there is.
Got different colour highlight.
So ornaments is the word for trills, grace notes, achacaturas, appoggiaturas, mordants, inverted mordants. Have I forgotten anything?
Turns.
Yeah. I was thinking-
Turns.
Trills count as ornaments, don't they?
Yeah, I said that first.
Tapping, does that count? Like interrupt a note so fast that you can't hear
Oh.
what it is.
Is
I'm
that a
sure
mordant?
it would. But how is that written? Is that just an oral
Isn't that a
tradition
mordant
thing?
though?
It's like, I haven't seen it written that
No,
much.
that's really
No.
interesting. Yes, absolutely. It probably has a proper name as well, but I don't know it. Okay, so basically, if you've got a slow student that you feel would really benefit from just whizzing through a bit, I would just tell them not to worry about the ornaments. I have done that before. They're in brackets, so it's nice and, you know, you can, it's a bit like the book 5 gavotte. You can just say, just do the notes that are printed, don't worry about the double stops that are in brackets. You know, 2 years later, you're not going to look at that student and be like, oh, I really should have taught them those mordants. But I would do the shifting in the second gavotte. So we're talking about bar 4, the last note of second gavotte, until the 1, 2, 3, 4th note of the next bar. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Are you looking at the music? You with me about the shifting?
No, which bar is that?
So Minuet 2, the second page.
Yep.
As is written in brackets at the top. So the end of bar 4, that's your first note in third position. Kit, are you
Yep.
with me on this? Yeah.
Yep.
And then you come down on the 4th note of the next bar, where it's
Oh,
written.
yeah.
And then in bar 12, same thing, at the end of the bar, you go into third position, but then you've got longer because there's more notes, and then the bar 14 is the same as bar 5. Exactly the same, in fact. I would do those because who can think of a reason apart from just shifting being a good idea? Yeah, but how is that different from shifting being a good idea?
Well, there's string crossings in this.
Yeah, there's something you can't add in review if you don't do this shift. Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you leave the ornaments out and then later on that child is like, I would like to learn the ornaments, if you have taught them that all in first position, then they have to not only learn the ornament but also the shift, because you can't do you see what I mean? Yeah? So do the shift so that they can add in the ornaments rather than changing something in order to be able to do it. Let's play it. Before we play it, we're just going to play the exercise 4A, B and C. They're quite fun. My level 2s, well anyway, he's got their book 1, but have you got your book 1 with you?
Yes.
Yeah, just have a little look at what's before Minuet. Oh, I can't remember what page it's on. This one. I think it's printed at the bottom of Minuet 2. Nope. Oh, where is is it? Where am I getting that from?
It's a book two, isn't it?
Is it a book 2?
I think it's book
Which
two.
piece for though? That's interesting. I'm going slightly mad.
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah. So let's work out what piece in book 2 would that be helpful for? Where will they have put it? Good idea to review what book 2 is. So don't look at your books, please. First piece of book 2. I'm talking to level 2s only.
Judas.
Thank you. Second piece. Devon's like, stop it.
it hurts.
Second piece. Guesses are very
Who's it?
well received. Well done. Any ideas? Give us some pieces that are in book 2.
Hunter's Chorus.
Very good. You got it right.
All of that.
French's Chorus is the third one.
Long ago.
Yeah, I still have a mental blank about whether it goes long ago waltz or the other way around. You're right.
Long ago.
Yeah. And then waltz, good, that's my contribution. Another book 2 piece?
That's concept.
That's the one we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
Devon, the name of another piece of book 2? I don't want it. Thank you.
No, but
Hannah, you're too nice.
It is that one you just said.
It's not.
No, it's not.
That came earlier though. That's why I was
What's it called?
worried.
Yes. Handlebury comes after waltz.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Then?
Two Granges.
Very good. Can you think of any other pieces? Think about what we've done recently in our teaching points. Lily, well done. It's not next, but you have got it. Can you think of another one?
Oh yeah, I know what it is, but.
Can you sing the beginning of it?
No, I know the feeling of the piece. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
okay. Kit, do you know what comes after Handlebury?
Wait, we did that. Yeah, it's a Two Granges.
Oh, sorry. After Two Grenadiers?
Well,
Huh?
no.
no.
Joe? Yeah.
Actually dance.
Yeah. Can't forget Witch's Dance. And then, anyone? Anyone. Let's just reel them off now.
Then it's Lily.
No.
Well,
No.
Mignon.
I always felt Lily should be
Yeah.
before Mignon because Mignon's so
Yeah.
hard, but that's one of those, like, give a mountain piece and then give a
Mignon.
sort of relaxed. Yeah, Mignon, then Lily. Then
wait, say it again.
Mignon, Lily, Beethoven, Boccherini.
Okay, yeah, Lily.
So, everyone, unless you're completely confident about this, the order of these pieces, I highly recommend you make yourself a poster. It could just be the photocopy of the contents page if you're really boring, or you could make a really beautiful one with stars and flowers if you're not, or just a piece of paper, but just write down the names of the pieces, book 1, book 2, book 3, and then for level 3s, book 4, book 5, so that, and just put them up like next to your bed, on the back of your bathroom toilet door, like somewhere you're going to see them regularly, because so much of the time we know the name of the piece, we know how the piece goes, but we don't know the order. And then when you're thinking back, how am I going to prepare this child for example, semiquaver sections? You think, oh, is that semiquaver section before that one? Or, and you can't, you know, and it really helps to know the toolkit order as well as the, please can you put that in the bin? Thanks.
It
As
works
well as the actual pieces themselves.
It's not working.
No, it's I hate children.
Great thing to say.
This is a brand new set of these pens, and they've all been used by children who haven't got their pen licenses. Right, book 1, come on then, let's do it. You can
Should we
sit
turn
down
this
if you
round?
want.
Lightly. More twinkles and then.
Thank you. I was gonna say. Joe, would you mind looking on the desk for more,
Okay.
preferably ones that haven't been wrecked?
Do you want colours or not colours?
No, thanks. Twinkles, lightly row. Devon,
Your time ready?
well done. Nearly well done.
Welcome Little Children.
That's next. After that,
Uh,
Hannah, help. Oh, interesting.
Mason?
No. Kit, help. Wow, I'm glad we did this.
Wait, where are we trying to fill in? Oh, someone's waiting. Sorry.
Thank you.
I thought, what comes after Come Little Children?
Good question. What
That's
comes
my
after?
Allegro.
What comes
No,
after?
Pipit.
Oh, come little children.
Mason.
Mason.
Sorry, that's
I
what
know,
I
I'm
was
thinking of
looking.
the other
I
one.
do know my book one.
And then
Allegro.
And then, thank you, that looks great.
Not sure about that one then.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Perpetual.
Yeah, haven't we missed out one long ago?
We have.
Oh,
Love, love, proposed, not loved.
It's before Mason.
Oh my
After-
god, I
after
got it
Mason.
wrong!
After Mason.
My brain's just.
I don't know which one it is.
Come Little Children. Mason. Long ago. Allegro.
Joe. A-star.
Yeah. Allegro, then.
Perpetual.
Well done. Petrol motion, as the kids like to call it.
The two.
Think about
Oh,
your
she's
chunk.
on fire today.
She is on fire. She does this really well. I'm very proud of her. Think about the chunks. How do we think of the chunks in book one? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so how would you categorise the first chunk of music in book one? There are several correct answers.
Like Lightly Road to Long Long Ago.
Yeah. And Twinkles.
Okay.
How would you call that group? How would you identify it?
The simpler, slower songs? I don't know.
Not quite. Kit?
No idea.
So,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't
A
know.
major, you could A major, but A major goes a bit further, doesn't
Yeah, it
it?
does, yeah.
A
Well,
major
not
goes all
further
the
than
way
that.
to perpetual motion. Yeah, but we're talking about up to here.
Oh.
Hannah, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Folk songs.
Oh yeah, that thing.
That thing. So if you go like that, we start with the folk songs. Then we have the etudes, and they are all written by Dr. Suzuki. So Allegro, perpetual motion. Next.
Allegretto and then Etude.
Well done.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
No,
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 please
never.
don't.
Don't you dare.
And these are the etudes, or studies. Etude just means study in French. All by
I'd like
Dr.
to say that.
Suzuki.
Although I'm convinced Allegretto is the Elvis song, isn't it?
Oh God, let's not get involved in that. And then,
Minuet 1, 2, 3.
yes.
And then the other one, the thingamabooby. Happy Farmer.
Have
The
fun.
Gay Farmer.
And then go.
Stop.
No, it is. If you look at the book in French or in German, I can't remember.
Gay means happy.
Well, GAI literally does. I don't even know if it is a synonym for queer. In which, someone look at book one, please, and put me out my misery. What language is it? Le Gay Farmer. I think it's French.
It's French.
And I don't. Is that? Does gay in French mean gay like it does in English?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. And is it like old-fashioned still to say you're happy? You speak perfect French.
I don't speak perfect French.
Have you ever heard your dad say, "I'm feeling really gay today" in French?
No.
Okay, so
I've never
probably
heard
it's the
that.
same as now. Like we all know that it means happy, but you wouldn't walk around saying I'm gay unless you're also queer or making a joke. So the Happy Farmer. I wish they printed that as the Gay Farmer. That would have been so good. And then everyone's favourite.
Come on.
Yes. By Gossek. And we categorise these as real music. I mean, that's really important for the kids because it's like you're playing Bach, you're playing Johann Sebastian Bach. This is the most famous composer who's ever lived, and you get to play his music in book one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Long
I've
Ago
got a
by
problem with
Huh?
calling it real music.
I know.
Long Ago by Bailey.
Can you name me another piece by Bailey?
I used to know one, but I can't.
Oh, really? Yeah, you're right. Okay, so
It was a
right,
song-
there's a little anomaly. We should
Yeah.
do this, and then Bailey, that very famous old Bailey.
Because it was a popular song, I think. I remember watching.
About dinosaurs.
No, popular song in the 60s, because I remember watching an episode of Star Trek, the original series, and it was used
love
in the
you.
scene, and I was like, hold on, it was all this weird motion, very slow, and I was like, that's long ago.
Okay,
No,
there we
no.
go. Okay, so there is an anomaly in there, but
Yeah.
broadly speaking, folk songs, etudes, and then whatever, however you want to call this, you know,
That stuff.
more
Classical.
sophisticated music.
Classical.
Well, it's all classical music, and if you start calling it classical, you're actually dealing with mostly Baroque, aren't you? So
Yeah, but that's what people do, don't they? They call it classic FM.
yeah,
Mm.
but my point is the whole book is classical music. It's not a change in genre.
Folk songs on.
The way that we play them, they are,
Oh,
and the etudes definitely are. So whatever you want to call them, or you know, just like you know,
Big composers.
yeah, big composers, famous folks,
Greatest
whatever.
hits.
Huh?
Greatest hits.
Greatest hits. Exactly. So, make a poster of that. Book 2. Let's let's just remind ourselves. Devon.
Juice and Prayers.
Thank you. Kit.
Music.
Joe.
Hunter's Chorus.
Hannah.
Long ago.
Devon. Every parent's favourite, every child's nightmare normally.
You played it so
Waltz.
beautifully.
Yeah, well done.
So beautifully. Organic dynamics.
Kit. Another famous composer. Greatest hit.
Classical FM favourite.
You want to phone a friend?
Yeah.
French word. Dance. The next song.
Okay, let's hurry it up.
Dory.
Thank you, Handlebury. Kit, do you know the next one?
Yeah, two grandies. 77.
Hannah.
Lucky 7.
Witches.
Devon.
Tweet, tweet.
This is what we were
I'm
talking
not
about
sure.
before. Give me some
The
names
one
of
that
the
we
rest of the
forget
pieces
about.
in book 2.
Can't remember the name of the composer. Cute.
Oh, Mignon.
Did they say it or did you remember it?
Well, she said cute. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's still helpful. Right, that's one. Kit.
Gilbert.
Bye.
Lily.
Yeah. I mean, you can basically say Gavot for most of book 2. You'd
Yeah.
be right. Then, Devon. It's your exam piece.
Minuet.
Good. Bye.
Beethoven.
Well done.
Do we need to know that? That's by Beethoven or music Minuet?
What do you think? Dear me. And then, Kit, last one.
Rubber chicken tune.
Chicken tune.
Rubber chicken.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, I know how it goes.
Okay, Johanna.
Ocarina Minuet.
Ocarina Minuet.
Played at every wedding.
Of course, yeah.
Is that why it's rubber chicken?
Yeah.
What is rubber chicken?
Oh, it's just a phrase I heard ages ago to describe like stuff that you do, that you tour around and do all the time.
Rubber chicken.
How weird.
Rubber chicken circuit. But I could be. It's a very old
I
term.
call them lollipops.
Hmm.
in my part of the trade.
Well,
Someone says, what are you playing at a wedding? Well, perhaps it means all the Mozart divertimenti, Boccherini Minuet, Eine Kleine, all that jazz. Not jazz. Right, book 3, very quickly and small. Good job, there are only 7 pieces in it. Book 3, go.
Just do it.
Bye.
Martini.
Thank you.
Because you have it in the mornings.
Next, Evan.
Minuet.
Well done. Bye.
Bach.
Thank you. Next.
G minor in the
Bye.
Bach.
Yeah. Which is weird because it doesn't really sound like Bach.
Mm.
Next. Hannah.
Humoresque
Lovely. Bye.
and Dvorak.
Very good. Dvorak. So je. Middle.
Dvorak. There is also Dvorak, isn't there? Or
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that's
Just
just
pronouncing it wrong.
people can say Dvorak.
Yeah.
You can't, if you've got kids who find it very intimidating to say Dvorak, you can't basically get away with saying Dvorak.
okay, Dvorak.
Next.
I'm not sure.
Kit, you know?
No idea.
Huh?
No idea.
No. Joe.
Beret. Handle? Beret? Oh.
It's not a beret and it's not by Handel, but you are on the right track.
Is that piece next?
What?
Why did you sing that?
Because she said this at Handel Beret.
Oh,
I said,
okay.
yeah, it's in book 2. No, that's Bach. Becca Garot.
Oh, sorry.
I knew I just didn't want to interrupt you, so that's.
Well done, Hannah. Very good. Restraint.
I
And then we've got Garot's in D major by Bach. And everyone's favourite exam piece, Bach Beret. Okay,
Good book. It's a good book.
it's a great book. I think they're all good books.
I don't
Particularly
know.
once I get to Mason, I feel much more pleased than I do before Mason.
Yeah.
Oh, come little children. Can be fun. Okay, how are we feeling, guys? Do you want to power through and try and finish Bach Minuets?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's falling asleep.
A little tea?
A little tea? Yes. Let's have a little tea.
Have a big tea. Put the kettle on.
Yeah. Why don't you put the kettle on and we'll play the Bach Minuets. And then when we come back we can finish the teaching points and go to lunch. We might even get through Hunter's Chorus as well. Right, so we're going to play, what we're going to do is we're going to do the time-saving version. Who remembers what that is? It's really helpful for your lessons.
We start halfway through.
Excellent. Start on the second gavotte, minuet, and then we'll do the da capo, and that means you've played everything but you haven't played the first 2 sections 3 times, which is what you play if you play it all the way through properly. Okay, so we'll go from here. So we're just doing the second half and then the da capo of Minuet by Bach. Oh, second piece in book 2. 3. Ah! Shift. And again. Shift up and stay up. And now down. We're back for more Bach.
I see what you did there.
So, talk to me about Bach Minuet, the first bit, level 2s especially. Thoughts, please, Devon?
There's kind of like a, I wouldn't say a dance feel, but there is like a sort of rocking feel to it.
Yeah, definitely dance feel would be an appropriate thing to say, because it
Yeah.
is, after all, Minuet.
Yeah.
Good. And like we said before, if you don't do the ornaments, it's exactly the same as book 1. So, Kit, what would we be looking for now that we wouldn't have been looking for in book 1 in exactly the same piece? Does that make sense as a question?
I think so.
Yeah, cool. There is a clue in what they've decided to print for us at the bottom of page 13.
No, I don't understand.
Why do you think they've given us string crossing exercises?
For the second one? For the second movement?
Is it only for the second one though?
Yeah, but they know how to play the first one.
Yes, so what are we trying to do with it? If you imagine the difference between a book 1 student playing Minuet 3 when they've just learnt it and a book 3 student playing Minuet 3, what would be the difference? What would you be looking to hear and see that is different?
Nicer sound and
Excellent. Yeah, keep going. Devon, can you give us something you would be expecting to see differently or hear differently?
I was going to say better string crossing, but
Yeah, more controlled string crossing.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. I mean, basically, we're looking for a more refined version, right? So if you kind of think about the difference between like any one of us and one of the world's greatest soloists playing this piece, what would you hear differently? You would hear different tone, different phrase, like more nuanced phrasing and dynamics. They would look different. You know, more finesse in every way. Like really, like the best tone, intonation that you can get. Really, just everything highly polished. And so that is the sort of big version of what you're looking for, the difference between book 3 and book 1 playing the same piece. And this is a phrase that lots of us use, like, can you show me, if a child is playing, say, for example, Judas Maccabeus for a solo, you might say, okay, I can hear a book 2 Judas Maccabeus right now, can you play me a book 3 Judas Maccabeus? Everything's the same, but it would be better, more refined. And then what about, can you make it sound like a book 5 Judas Maccabeus? What would that look like? Yeah? So just thinking about what are the ways in which they can improve everything about what they're doing. What does that look like? What does that sound like? How do they practice that? So more elegant, just like that. You might do things like, if you haven't taught this the first book, they might decide to do that staying on the bow, or staying on the string rather than doing a retake there. I think most book 1s would do a retake there, and it's a more refined way to play if you keep the bow on the string. Helps you do more dynamics. More breathing, maybe more moving while they're playing, all of these kind of things. The A and B at the bottom of that page, I do not teach B because, so we're looking at bar 25 of the minor minuet. That's one of the difficult string crossing bits, and I don't want them to be stuck at the tip. And I think if you play, sorry, major minuet. Does that make sense to everyone? It's so nice to have people next door. We just got a wave from the woman who brings the City Harvest van. Right. So, tick boxes, refined style. Most of your tick boxes are going to be like sort of pertinent to the second minuet, not the first, because obviously they can play the first, but they may have some reviewing to do. Tone, posture, intonation, dynamics. Devon, do you remember what I said about all of those kind of classic tick boxes earlier today?
No.
Kit, do you remember?
Some of them you don't need to put down.
Great.
Oh,
Yeah. So treat each student and their boxes as an individual job rather than these are the boxes for this piece. Obviously, there are some like ornaments and shifting that they'll always need, but you don't necessarily need to put tone and intonation and posture for every student. It will depend what they're up to. Dynamics. Did I say that?
What did you say after tone and intonation?
Posture. And then ornaments, shifting, boxes and memory. So for most students you would not have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tick boxes because that's quite a lot. And you might also decide to separate them if you're going to do 2 credits for this piece, one for the refined major minuet and then one for the minor minuet. You might put shifting on the second page, memory on the second page.
Did you put ringing notes? Was that just something
That's
you said?
intonation, so however you want to phrase it. Most of my students, we just do exercise 4A, just to remind them about that kind of tick idea that we've done in book 1. That the down bow doesn't go stop, move, up bow, but it's like a tick. It finishes with that end flourish, lift that takes them to the G string. Yeah? So most of them don't actually practice these exercises, they just do them once through and then that's enough. But obviously if they need to, they can. I do teach the ornaments to most of the students, I think, for most of mine, because I have a very good understanding of how much practice they're doing, and because I have helped them to do more if they're not doing enough. Most of them are moving at an appropriate pace, not to be like the child that we were talking about, not the specific child, but the kind of child who needs to be moved on. Obviously sometimes there are different things happening, but generally I think that for most of mine they would prefer to do the ornaments and feel like they've learnt a new thing in minuet than just to rehash a book piece and feel like they're not learning anything new in this piece. And as you can see from where they're written, the downbeat ornaments come on the beat. So bar 5. And this one, those are all on the beat, but the ones on the second beat of the bar would be off the beat before the beat. So the actual ornament notes go at the end of the first beat, before the second beat, so that the second beat still sounds exactly the same as it does without the ornament. Kit, does that make sense?
So
you play the note, then you do the thing.
Dee dee da dee 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 dee.
Yeah.
Rather than dum ba da 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 da. That would be wrong.
you do the ornament before the beat.
When it's not the downbeat of the bar.
Before the downbeat. Okay.
But then, basically just do what they've told you to do. 29 is on the beat. I actually think that I do that off the beat because it's most of them, you're not going to get to this level of discussion really. Just be happy if they get some twiddles in there. But I think the important one is that dee 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 dee. So you still hear the rising quavers dee 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 dee, and it doesn't turn into a strange kind of triplet. Oh, it's Marianne who's waving at us. That van says this van is driven by Marianne. So cool. I don't want a van. Maybe I'll put it on my bike. This bike is ridden by Kate.
Good job driving that round.
The book 1 technique of putting the 1 down before you put the 4 down, which my friend Amy calls bedoing, which is very helpful. Bedoing. I literally do that because I'm anxious about my foregoing attitude. It's really helpful, and you just want to remind them that they can still do that here. Some of them will be brilliant at putting 4 down, most of them won't. So the tick box, repetition boxes are bar 3 plus a note. Dee, 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 dee.
That would annoy.
It's good, isn't it? And bar 21 up to 26 if you're going to do the new bowing version, no retake. If you're not, don't worry about it. They won't have any boxes in that. One of my lovely level 2s, how do you think you'd approach teaching that 3rd bar? The mordant. Inverted mordant, I beg your pardon.
Play it slowly and separately.
Can you show me, please?
Delay.
Delay up. Yeah. It's so cold inside. Bye, Marianne. Yeah, you're on the right track. What's the important... Start on a down bow for a start. Yeah, I think that would be a very good way to do it, because the thing that you're trying to get them to understand is that the C on the quaver has the grace notes before it, not as part of it. So you want to play, yeah? Because what they do is, this is fine, and then they play, and that doesn't musically, it's not musically satisfying, is it? So you might practice just that, get them to clap the beat, so they'll be clapping, let's all clap. Then you get the second C on the downbeat, and then you would swap and you would do the clapping and they would have a go at that. Okay, are you with me? You can stop clapping, thank you.
Sorry.
So obedient. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, no, let's get violins, everyone please. In fact, no, level 3s, you can be our clappers. Go and make the clappers.
Gospel claps.
First of all, is this the first inverted mordant that they have ever done?
Say yes.
I think so. There aren't any in book 2, are there?
No.
So, first of all, we're going to play my 10, your 10. Ready? Just keep going. Not the wrong way up. Good, until they've just really got that, yeah? And then, my turn. Ready? And. So feel that the second C is the strong beat. Ready? And. Ready? And. Ready? And. Good, my turn. Ready? And. And they need to do a 3, 4 notes in the up bow. Good. And then if you have someone who is still putting the grace notes too late, can we have some clapping, please? So let's see if we can get the clapping together. Let's see if we can get the second C on the clap. Ready? And that's how you would, thank you, that's how you would get them to see that it goes before. Yeah? Good.
Would that be good in a group lesson?
Yeah, perfect. Especially because it's such a short little thing, once you've done it with them, they could then go around the circle or along the lines doing it one at a time. Great idea. You can also do all of these 4A, 4B, 4C exercises in group. Oh, that's fine. Joe, can you find the
Yeah, it's later in book 3.
Ah, okay. I was thinking through book 2, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, give us
It's
about
page 19.
page 19.
That's if you've got the same publication. After Becca.
Ah, because it's for the Bach. Yes, okay. So I think that you could definitely teach your early book 3s this little. Let's play it, because then I'll show you what I think you should do with it, which is really nice to do in group.
I was going to say, should I do it in the book 3 group tomorrow? Because I'm covering. We're not doing book 5, 6. I'm doing book 3 group. So should I do?
Why don't you talk about that in your lunchtime? Okay. So, what's written is this? And you go all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. I think that's what's written.
Yes.
Yes. Right, so let's all do that. So you're starting at the tip. 1, 2, 3, 1. Repeat. Down and up. And down. Yeah. One more time. See if you can do it without looking at the music. This one goes down, up, down. Beautiful, well done. So then we'll go into 2 parts. You can start, and I'll show you when to start. 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, isn't it nice? And this massive rasta just walked past and went. So good. Let's just do it one more time, then you can practice doing the repeats. So there's no repeat written, but obviously you can just repeat it for as long as you want.
Page 19.
Yeah, you can practice doing different dynamics, organic dynamics or setting dynamics.
Organic dynamics.
One more time, we'll practice starting. See if you can come in without me showing you. Beautiful! So if you do the repeat like that, you basically miss out the last 2 rests and go to the upbeats. So it's not exactly what is written in the music, but it's what makes sense instinctively. Nice! Okay.
What was the second type of dynamics? You said organic or...
So either following the pitch up, getting louder, down, getting lower, or setting the dynamics, like can you do forte, piano, forte, crescendo, or something.
And it starts, when you start it in a delay, it's 2 bars?
No, 1 bar.
1 bar.
Yeah, 1 bar. Otherwise it's
Yeah.
the same. So if you
Okay.
misremember, you'll realise really quickly, because
Yeah.
it'll just be, this isn't doing what I expected it to do.
This sounds very
Like when I tried to do tonalisation in thirds and I just couldn't remember when to come in, I was like, this just sounds horrendous. So it just did open fits most of the time.
And we call it a round if you're playing like
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Cannon, round. Yeah. Okay, I think useful at the bottom of that page, 12, is the box that I've got in red. It's the bottom right. Practice this way. That is a useful way for them to practice making sure that they get the shifts in the right place, and also to make it a bit kind of faster coming down, so that when they have a bit more time, they feel more relaxed.
Page 12 exercise.
Bottom right, it's the exercises in this book are so weirdly like marked. Like you get A, B, and then nothing and nothing, and then 4A, 4B, 4C. Like why aren't A and B on page 12? 4A and 4B and 4C and 4D, and then I don't understand it. It's like completely baffling. Anyway, never mind. Right, so check elbow drops towards the E and hand raises towards the G. This is very basic, but if you've got chicken wing happening in the string crossing, they will not have the control that you want them to have, or the relaxed arm that you want them to have. So make sure they're doing that, you know, thinking about elevators, like you can practice bringing the hand up to go up and dropping the elbow to go down, which this, you know, everyone will do this automatically, no one does that. And then turn it into rock and rolls or 4A. With me, Ken? Great. So we've got the shifts to practice. So your first box in the G minor minuet would be bar 3 to the first note of bar 6. And I would do the page 12 box we were just talking about first, and then as written times 5. And then the same, bar 12 to bar 14, well 15, first note. And if you are doing the ornaments first time through, which most of mine do, really make sure that they understand they're in blue finger pattern there. Because you hear a lot of, and then they move it once they can hear it fully. So you hear this, or something even worse than that. So make sure that they set the 1 and 2 in their minds as the semitone. There's that weird bowing. I don't really put it in a box, but just write some little glasses above it in 20. It's a strange long bow. We're going to come back to bar 27. Now, could you look at the major ending, bar 29 to the end of the major, and the minor ending, bar 29 to the end of the minor, and see if you can spot some of my favoured patterns, things to point out to the kids. So I'll just play them for you. So in the major. And in the minor. So things to notice.
The same apart from the B flat.
It's the same apart from the B flat.
Scale,
Not
yeah.
quite.
And the ornament is different.
Good, yes, the ornament's in a different place, which is weird and annoying. But that is because the quavers in bar 20, 28, 29, 30, 31 are actually an ornament, really, aren't they? They're just a written out ornament. Da da dum dum da is a decorated version of dum bum bum bum. So that's why the ornament in the minor is on those notes, because it's just decorating it further, which leaves you with the major ornament is a bit weird to remember. So major, the ornament comes earlier. In the minor, you've got to remember the second bar of that phrase is plain, and then you've got the extra decorated ornament. Good. Joe, would you clarify what you meant? Because you're completely right, but you just said it a little bit unclearly.
Well, you've got the essentially D major scale if you're not including the C, but you want the B flat.
Can you find me what scale you do have, including the C? Think about the key of the piece.
Oh, G.
Yeah, so you're playing a bit of the G major scale
Hmm.
from the dominant, in the major, and then in the minor.
Still the dominant then, isn't it?
Still dominant start, yes. You've got the B flat.
Love it.
Yes, so if you've got artists into their theory and oral, you might point out that that is still a G scale, but you're playing the melodic minor. Yeah. Or you might just say it's the same, but you've got a B flat in the minor. Are you with us, everyone? Yeah, great. So the thing for them to remember in the minor is to play plain crotches. Plain, plain, plain. Then very fancy. The other thing about the ornaments in the major is that there's a huge amount of music that's exactly the same as book one that doesn't have any ornaments, that I always feel like I've missed one, between 17 and 29. You don't get any. Well, actually, you don't get any between like 14, but that feels right. So that whole second section. I always want to play because it doesn't seem balanced to me not to have one there. So you could decide that you are going to add that in group. These ornaments are completely editorial. Bach didn't write them. It's up to you. But if you do want to play what's there, then make sure that you point that out. And if you don't want to play what's there, make sure they know that you are making a change, so that if they go to a workshop or they go for a lesson with someone else or something like that, they understand that they haven't got it wrong, that they've actually like been practicing inventing some new interpretations. Yeah?
Do most teachers do the ornaments?
I couldn't say what most teachers do. I think most teachers probably have some students that learn them and some that don't.
Especially if it goes to a group session that involves more than just their students.
Yeah, exactly.
Making other people doing it.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we've got the boxes for the shifting. We've got the box at the end. And this is similar to what we were just talking about before the break with the da da dee 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 dee, because sorry. What you want to hear is a triplet with the, well, not a triplet, but I think what they've written is wrong. So if you think about it really mechanically, that's what they write. Which feels wrong to me. I want to hear, and therefore, before the beat, it's very rare that you would have to go into the difference between what's printed and what you want, if you decide that you do want that, with a student. It's also quite rare with a parent, but if you've got a musician parent, you might just have to say, I don't do this, I just stick it before the beat, so you've got a triplet. But if you've got a musical parent, they'll understand that, so it's not going to take up loads of your time. But for us, da 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 da, like which minuet in book one? Either anyone in the room? Well done. Do 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 do. First triplet in the book, I think. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I do it before the beat, but it's up to you. Any questions about that last box?
No. Well, I did. I've also worked out times. We still not to do a triplet there. But I prefer
Each to their own.
Yeah.
I was just saying, what did they want? What's written? So that's not what's written either.
That's what I do.
schmozzle on the top. So
Some schmutz.
all of these arguments, not arguments, all of these interpretations are equally valid. I wonder what does Hillary do?
But I suppose so long everybody agrees who's performing it in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just have a little listen to Hillary. Oh, transfer, yes.
Has it been sorted out with Spotify now?
Not Spotify, sadly, but the downloads, yes.
Oh god. Okay.
Book 3.
I don't think she does the ornaments.
There's no music in this playlist. Excellent. Wonderful. She doesn't do the ornaments.
No, I can
Interesting.
play it.
Isn't there a version with and a version without? Oh god, this is the problem with getting a new phone. All of my things are signed out. Oh, that's annoying. That's right, 'cause it's got Face ID. Signed in failed. It's not alright. Okay, whatever. When you found it, can you? Oh yeah, you there? So quick. And then there's not another one that has it.
No.
How annoying!
Damn,
This is so annoying. So I'm just looking for what we're supposed to be doing because I don't think we were supposed to spend all morning on our teaching.
No, it's supposed to be book 5.
We'll do some book 5 at 2:45. Okay, so right, last bit, 5 minutes. Let's finish off. Let's get violins, and we're going to just talk about how you approach bar 27 in minor minuet, which is this one. So first of all, you've got to decide whether you want to teach the fingering on the top or the fingering on the bottom, or whether you want to let the kids choose which they find easier. As much as I appreciate giving the children control, I like to teach the same so that my students, if they're in group or whatever, are always going to be doing the same thing. And I think the top version is much easier. So let's just do super slowly. From the 2 bars before that, we'll just play the top version of fingering. So you're going 3, 3, 2, 1, super high 1, 3, 1, A. But from here, ready, 2, 3. And now we're going to do the same thing, but with the underneath fingering. So you're coming into half position with your low 3. Do you want another go at that, Joan?
Yeah.
Yeah, again please, exactly the same. Follow the top fingering. 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1. And then repeat and do the underneath fingering. So you're pulling your 3 onto the F sharp, down rather than reaching up. I find the second one much harder.
I find the second one easier.
Do you? Is that what you've been
Yeah, I
practicing?
think so too.
So I think it is personal choice. I don't, I can see that there's no technical reason for one of them being easier than the other. It's just awkward either way. And I've taught the top version for 25 years, so that's probably why I find it easier. But however you approach it, whichever fingering you want to use, we want to do it like this to start off with. Ready? And my turn. Ready? Play. My turn. Pull your one back. Ready? Play. And then we're going to put them all busy, busy, stop, stop, still, but every note just in time. Think about whatever your fingering is doing and what you would say to your students as you are doing it with them to remind them what to do. I'll just demonstrate. So for my fingering, roll your 3, high 2, super high 1, 3, and pull the 1 back. Ready, and roll, high 3 and low 3, super high 1, pull the 1 back, A.
Can I ask, does it have to be a roll or can you block it in the threes?
Yeah, if they can block it, fine, but I think most of them will need a bit of that. Yeah. So then let's just do the same thing for the other way. Practice shouting out what you would say to your students if you're teaching this one. So, roll, pull 3 back, low 2, push 3 up, 1 down. Something like that. Yeah? And then you would put it. Until they're up to speed. That would definitely be a 10 box, and you may set it with busy, busy, stop, stop on each note for the first week, and then hooked for the second week, and then as written for the third week on, or it might happen quicker than that. It depends on the kid. I think we've done it. Would you like to do Gavotte in G minor, or a book 5, a bit of book 5? Should we just stick in book 3, go 3 till 1, and then do some book 5 after talking about diversity, equality, inclusion and race? This afternoon?
Let's not cut that short.
No, we're not going to cut it short. Definitely not. Right, so Gavotte in G minor, which is great because we've already done quite a lot on it, and it's a nice simple piece. Definitely a, the beginning of book 3 is definitely sort of, I wouldn't say Martini is a mountain piece, especially if you're relaxed about whether they know it really well off by heart or not, but it's not super easy. The minor minuet is not super easy. Gavotte in G minor is super easy. We've talked about memory. What will you use? Not my book, not book 5s. What will you use? Level 2s to help your students remember the order of this piece.
The song.
How does the song go?
Well, that's not the story.
Yeah.
The gold dead goldfish.
Gold dead goldfish. Yes. Do you remember it, Devon?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. Would you
Yeah.
like to have a go?
I don't think I could recite it exactly, but it's
Like how would you say it to the kids? You can sing or play if you would prefer.
I don't really remember it well enough. It's
Okay.
Just,
It's a vague memory of some goldfish and
lots of flying goldfish and
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Kit, do you remember it well enough to say?
Definitely not.
Okay, Hannah.
I could try it and then
Go
you'd
on.
laugh at me.
We're laughing with you, darling.
So there's a guy who was really sad because he had a goldfish, and it died.
Which bit of the tune is that?
The very beginning.
Could you just either sing or play?
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And so he bought another goldfish, and then it also died.
Oh, so
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
the thing about buying another goldfish is that it's exciting. Da 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 dum dum da 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 dum.
What about the repeat at the beginning?
It's just too sad to discuss
Oh,
straight
he's
on.
so sad because he had two goldfish.
Maybe have 2 goldfish. Yeah, exactly.
He had 2 goldfish and they died. And we have the da-da-da-da-da, but he has a nice idea. And he goes to the shop and speaks to the guy and gets another goldfish. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it dies again. Da-da. Yeah. And then he's kind of angry with himself now. He's like, what's going on? Oh my God. I forgot to give the goldfish any water. Da, da, da,
I love how he's American. Why is
to him.
Oh my god, I forgot to give the goldfish the water.
And then he is sad again because he goes to I can't remember.
He's
why.
run out of money.
He's run out of money. So he's figured it out, but he's run out of
But
money.
he's still sad. Well done, that was very well done.
I like the American accent.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we know all about the structure for this piece. We are making sure that we take the opportunities to use open strings, then fourth fingers to practice intonation for fours. For example, bar 19. 2, 1, 1, A, 4, 3, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, D. Bar 25, 3, 4, E, 1, 1, E, E. Bar 27, do, 1, E, 4, 3. And bar 35. Oh, and bar 3. Sorry. And that is preparation also for humoresque 2 da, 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 2 1 8 4 3. The dynamics require quite a lot of control of the bow. And speed of the bow. So before we get violins, just put in the box please, is halfway through bar. Ah, this is what I was thinking of when I was going to say that the printing is really weird. Is that a hockey stick? No, it's just a big stick.
It's just a big stick.
2 big sticks. Okay,
He's
off you
having
go,
a good time.
on your way, sonny boy.
With his pit bull. It's Staffy. Oh, there we go.
Oh no, you bastard.
Big poop.
Yeah. No, pig, good. I don't have to go and shout it. As if. Right, so your boxes are going, yes, so look at the third line. They've printed the 9 on the bar line because the repeat is confusing.
Oh, yeah.
So you just need to be careful about that bar 9 doesn't start on D, 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 D,
Yeah.
D, D.
So violin starts on the F.
Yeah, so they've got they've just printed it weirdly. Well, I don't know how they could have printed it differently. It just needs to be printed weirdly because of where the repeat is in the middle of the bar. So just point that out to your students.
They could just put 9 above the bar line.
Sorry?
They could put the 9 above the bar line.
They have.
No.
Oh, is yours?
No.
Oh, mine is printed. They did that in the newer editions then.
Yeah, I'm too cheap to get on there.
Right, so box from bar 10 halfway through to bar 12 halfway through. And from bar 26 halfway through to 27 halfway through. Those are the only tick boxes. I mean, repetition boxes that I think we definitely need.
26 to where?
The next bar halfway through. Let's play it once you've finished writing all that down. Gosh, we're nearly halfway through book 3.
Dun
Well
dun dun!
Team Suzuki. Team Tuesday. I might play the piano for this because you don't. Ah, no, let's just do a little bit on the beginning. Yes, definitely let's tune. I think it might be my A, which is a problem because I've got a big recital on Sunday. I need to change my strings.
Sorry, Kate, I just need to deal with this in the back of the set.
and wait for the dynamics. And stop there, lovely, well done. So when we're teaching the kids about the dynamics, maybe in review or once they can play the whole piece at least, it's a good idea to practice like that. Can you do a tiny bow, a little bit bigger, about a third, and then the other half? Yeah, let's just do that. So you have to start right at the tip. Tiny, bit bigger, more. Good, and make sure that when they slur it all together, which we'll do now, ready, and that they don't rush towards the top note with the tempo, they only rush with the bow. Yeah. So it's easy for them to go, because they're thinking about going faster and then their fingers just join them, which is why the hooked bows are really helpful. Before we play the whole piece, we will look at this chain bowing in bar 10. So I would highly recommend that you give them at least a week just playing these as separated hooked bows. Because what you hear every single time practically is this. Because they're just really confused by the kind of, it's almost like syncopation, isn't it? The bowing across the beat. So if you practice probably be a bit slower than that, but if they practice it like that for a week, then you'll have a much better time of getting even slurs. So let's just play. Ready, play. Exactly, and then you will want to refine it by getting them to do the second of each pair faster, so that's where the emphasis is. Ready, and more, less, more, less, more, less, more, less, more, less, more, and then we can smooth it out. Beautiful. Okay, let's play. Hannah, please switch your lead. Start the tip. Okay, that was lovely. Let's just try the lead again, because if you're thinking in two, I think that's why it wasn't quite together. You go very quick upbeat, so think about a more 1, 2, breathe, play. The second So when you are doing that, whether you say the story as you're playing or whether you're playing the piano, if you do, or whatever, don't feel that you must tell the story all the way through. You need to just tell them where they're at of the story and then let the music play. Otherwise, you'll just end up gabbling all sorts of nonsense. Right, one more thing about this piece. The dynamics are very uneven in terms of you've got mostly long crescendos and rapid diminuendos. We've got some slow diminuendos as well, but for example, we're going up for 4 quavers, loud, down, in just 2 bows. It's still 4 quavers worth, but much quicker in the bow, yeah? Gradual diminuendo, crescendo, quick diminuendo. So they've got to know when it's not just like even hills. Sometimes they go kind of going up a hill and then drop off a cliff. Especially crescendo, drop off a cliff. But it's this one. That's the one that is really hard for them to get fast enough. Diminuendo. And we've got loads of more or less bows, haven't we? And that might be in review. And the only other thing I wanted to write on this page is start preview of bar 23 of Humorettes. Whether you're doing that shifting down 2 3, 2 1, 3 2, 1 8 3, or as written in the book, underneath, or not, that's the preview to start. And shifting for bar 13, the portamento shift, which we're going to talk about next.
That's if you're doing the shifting.
You are going to do all the shifting.
You are.
You may not do the portamento shift, but you will still need to practice that shift though.
Okay.
Great, let's have lunch. Let's come back at 2, and we will do what's on the list, and then we'll do some book 5 after that. Cool.
Cool.
Well done, everyone.